In March 1930, the American Atlantic Fleet has begun the bombardment of Freeport and the naval invasion of the Grand Bahamas. We have pushed back most of the British invasion forces. One marauding battlecruiser and her escort have been defeated by one of our destroyer groups, but at losses. So that is still around here somewhere. But we'll be working our way through the remaining British and French holdings in the Caribbean. And we're getting ships ready from the Pacific Fleet to start an invasion of Guatemala as well, to relieve the embattled troops that are currently defending Honduras from two sides. Meanwhile, British raiders are still active off the American coast. It is up to the San Diego and to the J. Talbott and Twinning to take on this British cruiser and see if they can do something about it. I am not sure what kind of ship the Crescent is, but it is a heavy cruiser on the British side, so caution is to be held. We've got two battle groups. We've got the San Diego as well as the two destroyers operating independently. San Diego is having a fair amount of torpedoes, and so do the two destroyers. So these are the more modern destroyers that we've got around. So, the transports are going to be withdrawing, and speed-wise, I think they're roundabout equal. So that light cruiser is not that much slower or faster than the destroyers, and she can obviously lay smoke. So we'll see if we can spot the enemy, but I'm going to be, especially with the San Diego, I'm going to be a little bit careful. So we'll wait for the destroyers to catch up before we do any, and sort out their positioning before we do any offensive operations. And we have made contact. That should be the enemy heavy cruiser, yes. So the destroyers have spotted the enemy heavy cruiser, which means we are going to have to be really careful with San Diego. We're going to get her up to battle speed, probably launch the torpedoes and smoke up, just to make sure that we are that we're not running into too much trouble. The destroyer should be able to spot her, and hopefully she'll turn away from San Diego's torpedoes. Just have to make sure we're not running into them ourselves, and then we will hold off with the destroyers for now. San Diego has launched the torpedoes, so let's disable the torpedoes and get her to turn around while the destroyers try to reacquire. We've spotted enemy torpedoes, so they have counter-launched, and there are a fair few of them, so we'll have to be actually careful and do some torpedo beats here to make sure that the two destroyers, let's get into a tight formation, that the two destroyers get through these cleanly. That should not be too much of a problem. And it looks like the enemy cruiser is now over to starboard, so I doubt that which course is she? Oh, she's in an aggressive course here. In that case, we've got the smoke screen running. Or is this is another ship? This could be, no, this should be the heavy cruiser. Okay, let's launch our torpedoes and then disengage for now, and San Diego can turn around and get in on the action as well. But the destroyers are close by, so we don't want to risk them against this heavy cruiser. Let's get the torpedoes away, and then or not. We'll get the torpedo solution, and then we'll get the torpedoes away. Okay, Twining has launched, but Fred J. Talbott has not yet. So let's make sure that we're not running into our own torpedoes. There's the launch from Twining. And San Diego should have torpedoes on the other side ready, actually. So she can also launch some torpedoes. It looks like the Twining has taken some shots here and has lost rudder control. So I'm going to detach her. And I'm going to get her to retreat, and because that damage looks substantial, and then we'll get the Fred Talbott to launch her own torpedoes, if she can and see. Yeah, she's dodging. So the problem is we're not going to get close enough. Oh, San Diego's taken some heavy damage as well. Let's get our torpedoes away from the San Diego too. I think we might have bitten off more than we can chew here. San Diego is definitely taking a lot of damage here. Twining is trying to retreat, but is... okay, Talbot, try not to torpedo the Twining. That was close. Twining is trying to retreat, but has rudder problems. And Talbot has now launched her torpedoes from long range as well. And the San Diego has taken severe damage and needs to immediately retreat as well. I haven't even seen what she's been hit by. I think she's taken a shot. She must have taken a shot from the 9-inchers. But that heavy cruiser has more or less immediately disabled our battle group. It's a very, very dangerous opponent. And I think we will have to retreat everybody, because I don't think the Fred J. Talbot can do it on herself. Twining is still flooding, and the San Diego is flooding in completely in the bow section here. So all of them are going to have to retreat, and that was definitely a victory for the British. So these heavy cruisers, the Crescent, what is she armed with? She is having... Oh my gosh, this thing has a lot of torpedo launchers. So she's got a huge amount of torpedo launchers, 9-inch guns. That is a formidable opponent, and definitely has outmatched our ships here today. And unfortunately, the transports are now being attacked by the British as well. That might have been a stray torpedo hit. I'm not sure if she's actively chasing, because she was going off in a different direction. But it looks like that she's been more than capable of sinking one of our transport ships as well. With the transports under heavy fire, the J. Fred Talbot has turned around and is desperately trying to distract the British heavy cruiser, which has taken some damage, but that might have probably been friendly fire. And the destroyer which is the only operational ship we have left, the other two are too heavily damaged, is going to try her very best to engage that heavy cruiser and save those transports. Realistically, her only chance would be to land some torpedo hits. The Crescent is flooding in the bow, and the Talbot is landing shells on target at long range. But if she can avoid being hit in return is the big question. Because I don't think these 9-inch high explosive shells are going to go particularly well. The Crescent is sailing away from the destroyer, but keeps the transports under fire, while taking return shots from the armored transports as well. We are taking fire from port as well, so there's another ship out there. I think it's an enemy destroyer probably, and we are chasing the Crescent and setting a couple of fires here. Fred Talbot going at flank speed, trying her best. We do have to be a little careful with potentially incoming torpedoes here from port, but I'm not sure how far away the enemy destroyer is. Probably, well, she has torpedoes ready, so probably the best engagement would be if we can catch the Crescent, but I'm not sure we want to engage that thing at close range. That is a monster. She is burning quite heavily, however, so if we can, the transports are helping, so if we can probably manage to set a couple more fires, then I'm just concerned about torpedoes here from port, but if we can set a couple more fires, then things might still go our way. Or maybe we can at least inflict enough damage that she's leaving the rest of the transports. Okay, I'm going to slightly change course here and try to get myself between the transports and the heavy cruiser, and see if we can get our rear guns on target, and potentially if we launch torpedoes at her, then we push her away from the transport ships, because obviously they have no chance of escaping otherwise. We're now starting to take hits from the destroyer to port, so it is coming within range, and we're giving obviously an uncomfortable amount of broadside to it. But so far it's just been a hit at the center, which has caused minor flooding, but so far is under control. I don't want to launch torpedoes yet because we're way too far away. I'm having more hopes that we can manage to maybe burn down the crescent, but we'd need a couple more guns for that one. Okay, I'm going to start laying smoke, just because we are taking too much fire now from the destroyer on port. Hopefully we can avoid that. And we're still trying to inch closer to the heavy cruiser, and we've managed to get ourselves between her and the transports. And we might just launch torpedoes in the hope that she can, that we can push her away that way. Because I think closing up, getting close range into the cruiser would be suicidal. So let's build up a torpedo solution and launch when ready. And it's the destroyer's guns that are really causing us the most trouble here. I would definitely want to launch the torpedoes at the cruiser, not at the destroyer. So see if we can reacquire her. She's right over there. There she is. No, we've lost her again. Okay, we do need to get a little closer. The enemy destroyer is catching up, and the British gunboat destroyers are not bad. So we'll see if we can reacquire the cruiser and get some torpedoes away. Okay, we have reacquired her, so let's send out some torpedoes, and then we'll probably keep our distance and just make sure they don't get anywhere near the convoy. I think the crescent may be hopefully damaged enough that that she's going to withdraw. In that case, we just have to deal with the remaining destroyer here. Okay, torpedoes away, and that means we'll turn around and see if we can find that enemy destroyer before they go and get at our transports here. Okay, the radio position finder has switched to south, so that's where the enemy destroyer is. We are completely out of torpedoes, so it's a pure gun battle at this point, but hopefully the torpedo spread against the heavy cruiser has pushed her far enough away that she's going to leave the transports alone, and that gives these things a chance to disengage. So we'll follow the radio signal here and see if we can find that destroyer. And I think we have landed a torpedo hit. At least I am getting the message here that we have landed a torpedo hit on the crescent, and hopefully that'll be enough to dissuade her from coming any closer. Okay, we have found the enemy destroyer. So now it's on. Train your guns. Unfortunately, the crescent is still around, but she is heavily damaged. So Fred Talbott is going to go after the enemy destroyer. We'll have to be careful with torpedoes incoming. And hopefully the crescent is no longer interested in actually fighting this battle. The Orcadia, HMS Orcadia, has been identified, and either she has launched her torpedoes already or she doesn't have any torpedoes ready, but we are going to get into a close-range brawl with that ship, and I think the Fred J. Talbott should outgun her. She has got 5-inch guns of her own. There come some more torpedoes, but I think... okay, we've got to avoid these. We should be... Okay, we need to turn a little bit. We should be safe here. Let's finish off that destroyer. Maybe she runs into her own torpedoes, but at point-blank range, the Talbott is doing massive damage. And that should be the end of it, hopefully. Torpedo has missed, but the Orcadia is getting torn to shreds here. The Talbott has taken some damage of her own, but Orcadia is sinking. Talbott has taken some damage here, and the cruiser has been driven off. So all in all, while it started out as it did not start out particularly well, and we have taken losses on the transports, the J. Fred Talbott has saved the day in the end. We have lost 3 transports, but the Talbott has the Crescent has taken heavy damage, and the Orcadia has been sunk. So in the end, I would say we have come out on top of it, and the Fred J. Talbott has done most of the damage, obviously, in this battle. Under heavy gunfire and preparatory bombardment from 16-inch guns, the invasion of Freeport in Grand Bahamas has begun. Our planners estimate a duration of about 6 months until the troops have landed and cleared out the last British defenders.